hCG Chica, welcome back. We are at episode 41 now of the hCG Diet Interviews with Everyday People. Today we have Bridget. Bridget, she's an everyday person, but she's also special because she does work with a clinic, a health clinic that does administer the hCG protocol. So what's exciting is that we're going to get her feedback today, not only on her personal experience with doing the diet, but also with the many people that she works with and just what she has seen in the routines of that. One thing she shared that I appreciated is that originally she was helping patients through the protocol, but she hadn't done it herself yet. And that was actually one of the motivations behind why she decided to do it. Also, she mentioned pants were getting a little tight, but it kind of all came together that it's so true that when you're helping people and you've done this protocol yourself, it allows you to be so much more, just have a lot more compassion for people and tips and just really know what it's like. So I really appreciate that about her. So welcome. Thanks for being with me today.
Thank you.
So tell us, first of all, what's the clinic that you work with? What's the name of it? Where's it located?
I work at, it's called Sajune Medical Center.
How do you spell
It's Sajune.
Okay.
And that's in Orlando, Florida. And we are a holistic practice, so we do hormone replacement therapy and weight loss and nutrition counseling and detoxing the body and dealing with, toxins, mind, body, stress, that kind of stuff to help heal.
Okay, cool. So for you guys, so now with patients, do you just only see people within the Florida vicinity there, or is there any type of Skype online stuff done?
No, we see patients from all over the country. Yeah, I mean, I do, phone appointments, I do online appointments, like whatever they need. We see patients from all over.
Great. Okay, so you guys, so the Sajune Medical Center, will have a link to it in the show notes, so you guys can go check that out. So tell me a little bit about, why you said you had a little bit of weight to lose, but also that, what were some of your reasons? What were your two main reasons behind? Let's share it with them. I'll let you tell it now. Why am I telling the story?
Okay.
You tell the story. Yeah. So what were the reasons behind doing the protocol yourself?
So I had been working with patients on the hCG program for almost 3 years, but I had never done it myself. But I knew the program like inside and out, and I knew a lot based on what I'd heard from patient experiences because I coached them every week throughout the program. But I was like, now I work here, like I should take advantage of that and do the program myself and see what it feels like. I wanted to develop some new recipes and just some tips that I could help out, help patients. And it's always nice to be able to talk to a patient and say, like, I did this myself and this is what I did. And then it makes them feel good. Yeah. Also, I've always been super active and I work out, I do, I eat right, really, really clean, but life kind of like changed up a little bit for a while. I changed jobs, I moved, and I got off my routine. I wasn't exercising as much. I also had really low energy, which come to find out, my thyroid needed a little bit of help too, which I didn't know. And now I know that part too. So I'm working on that. So I just like all those things combined, I noticed like I wasn't really weighing myself. And then I just noticed like my clothes were not fitting right. And I was like, and I saw some pictures of myself and I was like, I look puffy. Like I look like not myself. So like, okay, now's the time I'm going to do hCG.
Yeah.
So I did.
That's awesome. And did you do injections or sublingual?
So I did 2 short rounds, which I hadn't planned on doing either. I just planned on doing 1 round, but I did sublingual first because I was totally freaked out by needles and was like, I can't do that. I can't stick myself. But then the second round, I did the injections and I was like, this is nothing. Like, this is like so easy, even for somebody that absolutely hates needles. It's like nothing.
Yes. I'm so glad you said that. Like, so you guys, because I was the same way. I tell you that, like, this is a person afraid of needles, and like you realize
Yeah.
once you do it, like this is so nothing to be scared of.
Yeah. Like you don't even feel it. It just goes into the fat layer and you don't feel anything. So,
Fantastic. That's good.
yeah.
And about how much weight did you feel like you had to lose when you began?
I wanted to lose I said I want to at least lose 10 pounds. But then once I got to 10, I was like, I think I want to lose like five, at least like five more. And
Yeah.
I like getting a little bit lower too than my goal, because then you have a little bit of room
Yeah, wiggle
to,
room, huh?
yeah, like afterwards. So
Yeah.
my goal was like, yeah, I was like 15 to, maybe 20.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's the cool thing about this protocol is that like I had a really conservative goal too, like when I first started, because it's kind of like you just don't want to expect too much, because you just don't want to be let
yeah,
down. So
right.
you're like,
Yeah.
hey, like for me, I was like, boy, if I could just get to a size 12, even I was a 16 at the time, like I'll be happy forever, even though when I was in high school I
Yeah.
was size 2, but I was like, that's fine, I'll be
Right.
happy with the 10 or 12. But then when you see how effective it is, it's like, oh, wait a minute, like I'm gonna like modify my goal here because
Yeah.
you realize it's very doable is kind of what it
Oh,
comes.
yeah. Definitely. That's
And
how I felt too.
yeah, and I like what you said about the wiggle room too, because I think for every woman, I don't know that I used to know this. I'm not sure if other women, but we never are just one weight every day. Like,
Right.
like there's like I fluctuate 3 to 5 pounds for the last
Yeah.
always. Like I'm never so yeah. It's like it's hard to say like, oh, this is my goal weight because you're gonna be a couple
Yeah.
pounds higher than that sometimes. Maybe so So it is nice, like you
Right.
said, to have a little bit where you're comfortable on the high end
Mm-hmm.
of a certain weight.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So those are good thoughts. That's cool. Can you tell us what are your like basic stats, like your height and age and things like that, and how much you your weight then and now and all that?
I'm 31. I'm 5'6", and I started out at 153, which I was like, oh my God. When I stood on the scale, I was like, I can't believe it's because I hadn't weighed myself in so long, and I got down to 135,
Cool.
and I felt so good. Like I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like me again.
Yeah. How did your size change? I mean, I don't know if you ended up buying larger clothes or not. It sounds like maybe you didn't, but
Well, I was like a tight 8.
yeah.
But like you're kind of in denial a little bit, and you're like, oh, like I'm not going up in size. Like
Yeah.
you just,
My clothes
but
shrunk because I washed them too many times.
yeah. But then when I got down to my lowest weight at 135, I was like a 6, but a loose 6. Like I was kind of between a 4 and a 6. Now I'm like pretty much like, because I've started exercising and building muscle and again, and so now I'm like perfect 6, pretty
Awesome.
much.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's great
Yeah.
for a 5'6" person,
Yeah.
Very cool. I was curious, a couple things you mentioned. First of all, the life circumstance change. Like you said, even though you've always been actually a pretty healthy, active person, that like that type of thing can get to all of us.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of a normal thing when you might have a good routine, but then yeah, like you said, if you move or your job or you go through a divorce or just so many things, and then the eating the whole that can go out the window.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
and that's okay, like not to like for the people, for you guys watching or listening, like don't feel bad if that happens. That's
Right.
sometimes we have to make corrections in life, and like or sometimes it's like, yeah, you have to take care of aging parents or something happens with them and you're in and out of the hospital, and it's like, yeah, you just for a little while you can't be as focused on what you've been doing.
Right.
So do you feel like some of the people that come into your center, like that's part of the reason for some of them coming in is like their weight going up from different life circumstances like that?
Oh yeah, definitely. I hear that all the time, but we get a variety of different things because we do a lot of times it's hormone imbalance too, which is what we see a lot of at our practice, and also adrenal fatigue.
Yeah, I love
which is people don't realize like that is a huge factor in weight. Like if you have adrenal fatigue, you can exercise your butt off and eat celery, and you're still like you're gaining weight.
right.
Like it's crazy. So, and that's something we test for here. And if someone is in severe adrenal fatigue, we try to recover from that a bit before doing a weight loss program, or because it's stressful. It puts a lot more stress on your body trying to lose weight when your body's like in fight or flight survival mode.
Yes.
So we see all different types of situations where people need to lose.
I'd love to like kind of talk about that for a little bit, because I feel very strongly about that too, like the adrenal fatigue aspect, and that as wonderful as this protocol is, it is a stress to the body. Like it still is. So you can't fool yourself. Sometimes you get people asking like, oh, can I just stay on hCG like perpetually until I'm done losing weight? And I really, there have been like isolated occasions where people have done it successfully, but I really, in general, I don't think it's a good idea because of that very thing.
Right.
And you also don't know what's going on later with people who do that. Like if they now are suffering from adrenal fatigue because they push their body so much,
right.
Right. So I'm curious with the testing, what type of testing, because I know there's different types of adrenal fatigue testing. Do you do the salivary kind, like for that, or how do you?
No, we do a blood test. We test DHEA and cortisol.
Gotcha.
We test, for we do a panel of all the hormones, but those are on there, and those are the big indicators of adrenal fatigue.
Right.
So, yeah.
And then for like treatment of that, do you guys typically do like a herbal supplemental or a different thing? Like how do you guys typically try to help with that?
We do a combination of things. We do a lot of supplements. We have a supplement called Adrenal Forte, which we use, which is all herbs. That we will give the patient, if they're severely low in DHEA, we'll actually give them DHEA. And then also huge for adrenal fatigue is doing like a lot of mind-body stress reduction stuff. So we will stress doing like a restorative yoga program or doing some deep breathing every day. And I actually work with patients on doing that so all those things combined bring the adrenals up.
Very cool. And that's neat that you said that sometimes depending on their state, you'll actually do that before they call, depending on how far gone you are.
Yeah, I mean, if their adrenals are moderate, we'll still go ahead with the program and work on it at the same time. But if they're really, really depleted, what we see is that they'll still lose weight. Like you'll still lose weight on hCG, like no matter what, but you might not lose as fast. And you won't keep it off as easily because your body just just wants to hold on to the weight. So you'll lose it, and then when you go back into maintenance, it just comes back on slowly comes back on.
Yeah, so those are good thoughts. I do deal with it kind of chronically, adrenal fatigue. Actually, I take a small amount of cortisol. It's like a physiologic dose is what they call it, of cortisol. I wouldn't be too functional without it, but sadly, it is interesting. I had a kind of a personal experience with like how you said the stress reduction and how too much of a good thing is going to be bad. Because I was, I talk about CrossFit a lot. I don't know if you've heard me talk about CrossFit.
Yeah.
I love CrossFit. It is very intense. And, sometimes if someone has a lot of adrenal fatigue, they might recommend you not do it. For me, I just emotionally, that's not something I'm willing to even think about. I'd probably gain 50 pounds back if I stopped. But just eat popcorn all day. I don't know. But I did find, when I was starting to not feel well before I was on the little bit of cortisol, I was trying to go to CrossFit 4 days a week. And I actually was gaining a little weight. My eating hadn't changed, and I had been maintaining eating what I was doing for like 2 or 3 years. I was gaining weight, and I went and had my body fat tested. It wasn't muscle. It was fat. And I even had lost a little muscle, which that can cause too. And I'm like, I don't get it. Like, so I actually backed off. I went down to 3 days a week with my CrossFit instead of 4, and I even started modifying some of the workouts because some of them were just really long and they would just knock me out. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to cap it at 20 or 25 minutes. I don't care if normally to finish it would have taken me 40. I'm going to just stop at 20 or 25 minutes. And when I did that and I started the low cortisol, and I tell you, my weight came back down naturally and I lost the fat and everything was fine again, So
Yeah.
I think the hard thing for women is that we tend to be like, when something's not working, it's like then we work out longer or harder or more
Right.
or eat less and less, And it's like,
Yeah.
you're like living
I
on a
know.
treadmill, eating, like you said, celery, and you're gaining weight. You're like, oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. So frustrating. And we see that a lot.
Yeah, it's a real
Patients
thing.
coming in.
It's a real
Yeah.
thing, and that the way to address it for you guys is counterintuitive. It's different than what we might think. So be open
Right.
to that idea.
Yeah, it's funny because we'll sometimes see patients that are in adrenal fatigue and they're coming in and they are doing like running marathons or doing like this super intense exercise. And our Dr. Patty, our medical director, she literally tells them like, I need you to stop doing that.
Yeah.
And they like freak out. They're like, I can't, like that's so
Right.
my thing is that if workouts bring you stress reduction and peace, that's like your thing that brings you peace, then, and you're not doing it just like, oh my God, I have to lose weight, because that's stressful. But if you're doing your workout and you're like, this makes me feel good, then we want you to do that stuff. But just take the intensity down a little bit,
Yeah.
until you recover.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad you talked about that. I'm curious, would you mind speaking a little bit to your own thyroid condition discovery and how you're treating that, like how that's helping you?
Well, I never, my mom has a thyroid issue, and I know it can be very hereditary, especially in women. So I've had it tested like periodically throughout the years, but what I've learned since working at this practice is that the range of normal for thyroid is huge. And so what might be normal for some, like you could be at the low end of the range and still be considered normal, but it's not normal for you because you used to be at the high end of the range. But if you go to your regular doctor, they'll say, oh, you're fine, you're normal. They won't do anything. So here we look for optimal levels. So like my thyroid was actually normal, considered normal, but it was on the low end. So I was told, well, you could be optimal if you want to take a little bit of thyroid and see, how you feel. Amazing. I love it. Like, and so now I'm like, I just had my labs done again and my thyroid is much, much better.
Yeah.
It's higher and I feel so much more energy. Yeah. So
was that your free T3 levels that you were saying were on the low end of normal? Do you remember?
I don't remember exactly because I get them. I know because we test like all the different types. Yeah.
Probably the free T3 levels. Interesting. Yeah. No, I'm glad you spoke to that too. And then, so what type of thyroid medication do you take that has helped so much?
I take a natural thyroid. It's called West Thyroid Pure.
Gotcha. So you take a desiccated natural thyroid. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
And for you guys, taking desiccated thyroid, it's like it's basically ground up thyroid from animals, right? Like either pig or, and actually now I think they're even doing good grass-fed cow.
Yeah, I think ours is pig. I think it's pig.
Yeah, West Thyroid, and that's one brand. And there's actually a lot of brands out there. You do need to get it through prescription, but a lot of people really, really like it. It has a combination of T4 and T3, and I think it's this like little side thing called calcitonin, which is part of like your bones, something like that. Like it's important for your bones. So, because that's not, I take thyroid medication too, but it's not what I take. I've never actually tried it out, but a lot of people have very many good things to say about it.
Yeah.
And the reason I wanted to bring it up was because a lot of people who are on thyroid replacement hormone or medication are on what's called T4 only, and it's the storage form of thyroid hormone. And for a lot of women, you guys might want to just Google this, like Google your medication and see if what you're taking is T4, because for a lot of women, they find that it doesn't help them because their body's not converting it into the active form of thyroid, which you have to do in order to have it do anything. Otherwise, it's just a storage form, And so, and sometimes doctors will, like, I had a friend, her mom, the doctor literally like quadrupled or like quintupled her dose of T4 because she wasn't feeling good. Like increased it exponentially, like, which seems kind of scary. And she didn't feel
Yeah.
any better. She was so fatigued, and now she's on the natural, and feels a lot better.
Hmm. Yeah, no, with the natural ones too, like there's different types, but I know like some of them have gluten in them too. So, and I'm not sure exactly. So that's a factor though, because
Good to check
some people who are really sensitive to gluten,
right.
will not feel as well on that type.
That's
So
good. Like, yeah,
those,
like I'm not sure about, yeah, there's Armor thyroid, and a lot of
yeah,
people
I think it's Armor.
people
I
don't
think Armor might be.
really.
Yeah.
So definitely check that out, you guys, and that's important because if you have Hashimoto's, which a lot of people with thyroid conditions do, gluten is
Right.
a big issue
Oh, yeah.
for
Yeah,
that.
corn and gluten.
Yeah. That's interesting. Thanks for sharing that. So you feel a lot better. How many like grains are you on with what's your
One.
cool, so that's not too high, right? That's a pretty
Right. Yeah.
awesome.
I started out like I was on a half for a long time
Yeah.
because I was just kind of like, I don't know.
But you
I
don't
was,
want to take more than you need, right?
yeah, yeah. And I'm kind of like, I don't like to take stuff. So, and I don't know how I'm going to feel. So I was on a half like forever.
Yeah.
And then I asked the nurse practitioner, I'm like, am I supposed to feel like, I don't know, like, am I supposed to feel something? And she's like, do you feel any more energy? Do you feel like, and I'm like, no, I just feel normal. I feel fine. And she's like, try going up a little bit. So I did. And then all of a sudden, like a few weeks after I'd upped my dose, I was like, I feel great.
Well, yeah, sometimes I think we
Yeah.
don't know how good we're supposed to feel. So what I wanted to ask you next was, do you feel like just in your own experience with the thyroid thing, I don't know how long it's been, but do you feel like it's affected just like what you're able to eat and maintain it all, or is it enough to notice, or not really? You can't notice.
I don't know. It's not like enough to really notice. Like I haven't, well, because I kind of was doing hCG in conjunction with doing the thyroid, like I don't know how much of the thyroid actually helped me as far as weight.
Sure. Yeah, gotcha.
I'm not sure.
But do you feel like that you can eat, like, even though you eat healthy, do you feel like you eat like a normal person, like as far as amounts and calorie wise?
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
having a like
No.
family.
I eat like, I'm probably eating like about 1,500 calories a day most days now.
Yeah,
And that's just like my norm.
yeah, no, that's great. That's great to hear. And then
Yeah.
do you still exercise now?
Yeah, so
What do
since I lost, when I was on hCG, I kind of used that time to just let my body rest. Like, I didn't really exercise much. Like, I did really light stuff, just like walking and like, no, I didn't do any resistance training. I just let myself relax. And then after, though, I was like, all right, well, especially because I got the energy now from the thyroid.
Yeah.
I seriously, like now it's like I get done with work at 5 and I can't wait to go and do my workout. And I used to be like, so I've been doing like weight training and high intensity interval training, but I used to just be like, oh my gosh, I just want to go home and crash, you know? So now I'm like on a really good routine of weight training and high intensity intervals, which I like.
Awesome. That's good. And it just also goes to show how much like your energy level and addressing hormone affects everything else in your life, because if you don't have the energy to exercise, then you're not going to do it, which metabolism will be worse because of that as well, you know?
Right.
So
yep. It's all connected.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Very cool. Well, so tell us a little bit about like the actual protocol, the way your office administers it. Is how do you guys do it? Are there options or a certain way you do it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we actually have 3 calorie options. We have 500, 800, and 1,000. So what we find is like some people are not able, or it totally freaks them out to do 500 calories a day, or they're more active or have more muscle mass. Like if we have like I've had like recently a big like athletic guy do the program, and he was really into weight training. He was like, I don't want to stop my routine, but I just want to shed this extra layer of fat. And we kept him on 1,000 calories, and he kept doing his exercise routine, only like kind of modified it to be a little bit less intense, because that's still not a lot of calories, and awesome results. And I've had like other patients that don't need to lose as much weight, that maybe like have like 10, 15 pounds they want to lose. So they kind of want to keep active and everything, put them at a little higher calorie level. So we have those options. And then it's the same exact food. It's just slightly different, slightly higher portions, bigger portions for the different options. Then we have either sublingual or injections. You can pick which type you like. And then there's a few things on the list of food that you can have that aren't on the original protocol. I haven't looked at the original protocol in a long time, so I don't remember exactly what's on there and what's not. But I know ours has several different vegetables that aren't, I think, cauliflower, what did I say? Broccoli, mushrooms, zucchini, and
green peppers. Yeah.
I think those are the only ones that I can remember.
Do you guys do green beans or no?
Yes, green beans. Okay. And actually we have eggplant on ours too.
Oh, eggplant. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm very comfortable with the mentioning of like that because my final round, I did incorporate, I think all of those, except I didn't try cauliflower or eggplant, but the other ones I had,
I did a lot of cauliflower.
Yeah, and it was fine. Yeah, I interviewed another gal, she did cauliflower, and it really was fine actually. So it's like, yeah, what he brought to the table was so awesome, you know. It was many years ago, and it's like, it's neat when you kind of can experiment and kind of find out if you can stretch the boundaries of the original outline. And it really seems that you can, because we've had enough people now having success with it. So kind of the proof's in the pudding, you know? So
yeah, exactly. And I love the cauliflower because you can do the cauliflower mash, and it's almost like you're eating potatoes.
And actually, I recently tried the cauliflower rice. Oh my goodness!
Oh yeah,
so
I did
good.
too.
I'm creating a phase 3 like program with a meal plan. And that's one of the things is in there is some cauliflower rice. And I can't believe I've never tried this before.
I know. I just recently tried it myself because I always do the mash, but I've never done the rice. And I did actually I did like a risotto, like a rice risotto. And it was so good. I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe how good this is.
I know, I'm telling you. Like, I'm like, wait a minute. I've been maintaining off hCG. It'll be 4 years in November. And I'm like, just like a couple weeks ago, it was my first time. Like, I'm like, oh my God. I've seen it on Pinterest forever, and I just always was like, it's probably too hard to make. Like, I'm a low maintenance cook person. It's actually super easy. So this is so cool.
I also did a lot on hCG. I did cauliflower soup a lot, which I loved because it's so low in calories that you can eat this big bowl of soup. And it's like super filling.
So tell us your little recipe or the way you do it. Would you mind sharing that?
Yeah, it's so easy. It's just like how you would do cauliflower mash, only you just add more liquid. So I just used chicken broth and made it like soupier.
Okay.
So it's almost like potato soup. So all it is cauliflower.
Some water.
So I would, I'm trying to remember now. Like I'm trying to remember if I cooked it first. I think I just cooked it in chicken broth.
Yeah.
And then I have one of those hand blenders.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, and I just pureed it, and I added just like salt. You don't really need to, if you like the taste of cauliflower, like you really don't need to add a lot to it, but you can add any seasoning you want. So I just did salt and pepper, and maybe like some like, I don't know what else, like
whatever spice,
thyme or something, I don't know, sage, whatever, just a dash, but I like it just like literally with salt and pepper.
Right.
And there were a couple of times that I put like my shrimp in it, like I cooked my shrimp and I just like threw it on top and ate it, like mixed it in like with the soup.
Very nice. That sounds really good. You guys should try that. That sounds really good.
Yeah, I did a lot of soups.
Yeah, that's awesome. Soups are great for fall. My final round was in the fall.
Yeah.
And I lived on soups.
Yeah, right now it's like really hot, so nobody wants to do soup. But here,
maybe a cold soup.
But when I did it, it was cold. It was kind of chilly out, so it was perfect.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's
really
cool. So I'm curious. So did you have? Okay, so you did sublingual the first time. So obviously your dosage was different than when you did injections. What dose were you on with injections that worked for you?
I was on 200 IU.
And that felt fine for you?
Yep.
Cool. And I'm curious, when you did this protocol yourself, like, Were there times when it was like emotionally hard, or when you had to kind of try to talk yourself through it, or find little desperate schemes to stay on protocol?
Yeah, yes. So the first round, I was like strict on it. I did not cheat one bit. I measured and weighed out every single thing. I was like pumped. Like I was really motivated because I didn't like the way my clothes were fitting, and that was like my motivation, I was ready. I was really ready. Then the second time I did it, I had a little bit more I wanted to lose, but it wasn't as my motivation wasn't as strong
You
as the
weren't like
first
as
time.
unhappy?
Yeah, so I was kind of like, now I'm just being picky and I just want to get like that last like little bit. So I was a little bit looser than I was the first time. And I think the biggest struggle for me was like not being able to have like a glass of wine. And then like just the social isolation
Yeah.
of the protocol, because it's like if I do something, I want to do it right.
Yeah.
And I going out to restaurants or like being in social situations just is so much harder. So I always tell patients, like, I'm like, yeah, you're going to be kind of,
Yep.
a little bit
Ouch.
isolated for, but it's a short period of time, like just get through it. And then you can, it's a lot easier to eat on maintenance because you're able to eat fats again and stuff. So you can go to a restaurant, but while you're on it, just like don't do that. Don't torture yourself like that.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you said that, because honestly, that's the same thing that I recommend to people. And yeah, you feel kind of like bad saying that, but you're just like, I'm just being realistic. Like, just don't do it. Like, you're just
Yeah,
gonna,
just don't do it. I know. And
you read about how willpower. They've done studies lately how willpower is a muscle, and it's like you have a finite amount of willpower, and like you can improve its strength, but like when you use it up, it's gone, and like for the day until it refills. So it's like when you go, like you said, when you go out to eat and it's like so strict, and everyone else is like, it uses up your willpower so fast, and then you come
yeah,
home and then you blow it, because you're just like,
right.
oh my god. So
Yeah. So that was the hardest. That was the hardest thing too, was the social, like we couldn't go out, like I couldn't go out with friends, like, do on the weekends and stuff. And my boyfriend was like, he was really awesome though, because he stopped drinking with me and he stopped eating like like he didn't eat any carbs, like,
it's,
so he lost weight on like
yeah,
too.
nice.
But every weekend we were just like staying home, like watching movies, drinking like, a sparkling water. And by the end, like he was like, "Are you done with this diet?"
We done yet? That's so
I was
cool
like,
though that he did
"Oh,
that with you. That's cool.
yeah,
Hey,
yeah,
I'm curious, do you guys allow, or do you have people that use the miracle noodles on phase two at all? Do you guys have any experience with that?
yeah." I just added it to our protocol because it wasn't on there before. So I just recently updated it and I added them
Cool.
because I used them.
Yeah,
I didn't use them the first round,
yeah,
but the second round, I was like, I want to try these. And I did. And I didn't have them a lot. I mean, I had them a couple times
yeah.
while I was on it, and it was fine.
Yeah, yeah, I didn't notice any problems with it either. And it's really
Yeah.
nice, especially like in soups in the fall.
Yeah.
It's like so filling.
Yeah.
I tended to
Yeah.
try to save them till I was like, if you start out with the original protocol, usually you do okay for a week or a week and a half, and then you start feeling like, this is really getting hard. So then you like
Yeah.
introduce a new little thing to make it feel easier. So it's like, yeah, make me
Right.
wait to introduce them to. Like,
Yeah. Then it's like a treat.
yeah, and it's like, oh, this makes
Oh,
it easier again, and I'll get you through another week or two.
yeah.
Cool. So I'm curious, do you, with, what I'd love to know is with all the different people that you guys work with, as when it comes to like maintaining after or stabilizing, what are things that cause people to not do well that you've noticed, and what are things that really cause people to have success that they do with stabilizing and maintaining? I guess maybe address the negatives first. What do people do that kind of hampers their success?
So I think the most important part of the diet is the maintenance period. Like I always tell patients that like right up front. I'm like, because in our program we include the diet and then also 6 weeks of maintenance. And I always say right from the beginning, okay, the diet, you just follow, eat this food, you'll lose the weight. It's kind of like cut and dry. But when you get into maintenance, you have to start like living your life again and normally and making food choices and so I think like I have like a set method kind of that I do for the maintenance period. If people follow that, they do well. And I say, if you're able to maintain your weight loss for 6 weeks, then you're going to reset your set point weight and you're going to have a lot easier time maintaining it, long term.
Yeah.
But I think like if they start adding back like carbs and sugars, starches and sugars too soon before their weight is stable, like in that first 3 weeks, then that's usually like, not good. I always have them keep a food log, right, for that 6 week period, because it's really important to know like what doesn't work for your body. Like as you start this is like a learning experience. So as you start introducing things back in your diet, some people are able to eat certain nuts and dairy and all that, and they do okay, and other people can't, and they notice, but you have to be aware of that stuff. So I'm like, I want you weighing every day still and keeping a food log. And as you add things, take notice of how it's affecting you.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Did I answer your question?
No, that's very helpful. I was curious, do you find that when they first get off of, do you call it phase 2 and phase 3, or sometimes people call it?
Yeah, I do.
Okay,
yeah.
cool. So when they go to phase 3, do you find that, like, I don't know if they're tracking calories or not, but do you find that people who add in like calories, let's just call it calories, like gradually do better, or is it kind of like just more static the whole 3 weeks?
I think it's better to do it gradually, but I do think that some people can go up in calories faster than others, and I'm not sure why, but for some people, it's just like their metabolism just starts going like fast. So my like protocol is that you add about like 100 to 200 calories a week until you get up to normal calories.
Right.
But sometimes like I'll get a patient in the first or second week, and they're slowly upping their calories, but their weight's still coming down and they're feeling hungry. And I'm like, I take that as a good sign, because I'm like, this is cool. Like your body is working.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's good insight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in that case, like we go up a little, okay, let's add a little bit more calories, as long as it's not starches and sugars, you're good.
Yeah, that's cool.
So.
I know, because actually, I am developing this little phase 3 program it'll be like online, for people that want something a little more specific to follow. But obviously, It's still not one-on-one coaching. So it's like I can't, unfortunately, devise something tailored completely to each person, right? So I've been like killing myself. It's crazy. I'm like, I need to let go a little, because I've been trying so hard. It's like I'm trying to make it tailored to every person with one product, which is impossible.
Right.
So I'm like killing myself. And that's kind of what the premise of what I'm doing is, where I'm adding in, like you said, like 100 to 200 calories each week, kind of, and I'm trying to bring it up to about 1,500. But like you said, everyone's gonna still have to gauge by their hunger. If like, maybe I need to increase a little faster, maybe eat a little more of each meal. Or if they're having a gain, maybe they need to back off just a little and be even a little more slow about it. And they're going to have to still do that, because it's like there's one size fits all,
Yeah, and I also don't want, you don't want to really continue losing weight on the maintenance period. You want to stabilize the body. So, and that's a difficult thing too, because sometimes people they're excited about it because they still have more weight to lose. So they're like, oh, I'm still losing weight. But then I say, are you eating enough? You're not eating enough. Like, we need to increase the calories, because we don't want to get into the same rut you were in before, where you're eating like nothing and you can't lose weight. And then you eat one normal day of food and you gain, So we want to speed up the metabolism, not keep it slow.
Yeah, no, it's true. Do you guys do you make use of the whole steak day thing if they go over, that type of thing too?
Yep. Yep. There's definitely, if you go up more than 2 pounds, you got to do a protein day. Well, we call it a protein day, because our protocol says you can eat any protein. It doesn't have to just be a steak.
Yeah.
Because some people don't really eat red meat, or they don't, so you don't have to do a steak. That's like
protein.
I actually think the steak works better.
Yeah.
For some reason, but if you know, I'm not sure. I haven't, I don't have any scientific proof on that.
Kind of like, but seems like, yeah.
Yeah, it just seems to work better. I don't know if it's like the fat, or I don't know exactly, but it works.
I know. Interesting. Yeah. Okay, cool. That's very good. That's very helpful. So so it really does come down to the carbs and the sugars then, avoiding those.
Yeah, that's my number one tip. Like if you're like in maintenance of hCG, as soon as you start eating starches and sugars, that's where it gets tricky. Because even if you do increase your calories up faster than the 200 or so per week, is usually people are okay. It's like sometimes they're okay as long as it's not starches and sugars. If they keep it high fat, high protein, and low carb,
then it still works out.
They're usually okay.
I get a lot of questions about this, and sometimes it's hard for me to answer because when I did it, I didn't eat some of these foods I was trying to be super low carb in phase 3. So I'll get questions about, like, for instance, butternut squash or acorn squash or pumpkin. Like, would those be considered a phase 3, like, low carb enough or not? Like, how do you guys view that?
I usually don't allow the starchier vegetables until week 4.
Yeah.
So there's still starches. So just to be on the safe, I mean, like I said, some people are able to start incorporating those quicker.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good transition into like eating carbs again. So like, like when they get to like around week 3, week 4, and they're able to start incorporating some complex carbs again, I prefer them to start out with like squash or, sweet potato or beans, that are kind of like a transition, like they're high in fiber still, and, they're still a vegetable.
Right.
So,
yeah. And really in the end, it's not that bad because again, it's like phase 3 is really only the 3 weeks too. So it's not like, even though you're having to be still somewhat minimal, it's still not that long.
Yeah. And to me, it's like, what I find funny is like you start, while you're on hCG, it's like like phase 2, you're so like restricted that you crave to have just like some, like, oh, I just want like a piece of avocado or something, So it's like you're craving like healthier food. So it really changes a lot of your habits. Like the things that you're craving are not like, I want a candy bar. It's, I want an avocado and some olive oil on my salad,
No, it's true. So, yeah.
So I like that
aspect
of it.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's really good. Well, I think we covered a lot here,
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Is there anything else you can think of that?
I do incorporate intermittent fasting as a maintenance protocol too.
Yeah, I'd love to hear you talk about that because I'm all about that. I'm all about intermittent fasting. So I've utilized that the last 4 years. Yeah. So what do you think of it? Why do you think it's good?
I just love it. Like, I don't think it's for everyone. Like, and I believe like that you just have to experiment and see what works best for you. Some people do better eating several meals throughout the day, but I think it's worth experimenting to do some intermittent fasting and see how you feel and how you do with it. And you can just start gradual. Like I usually just like stop eating dinner at whatever time I do. If I work out, sometimes it's not till like 8 o'clock at night, but if I don't, like it might be like 5 or 6. And then I don't eat again until like 14 to 16 hours later. Lately I've been doing like 16 to 20 hours.
Okay.
And so it's basically just like scheduled eating. So you just delay when you eat the next day. And then you just eat normal. So it just gives your body that period of time where you burn through any carbs and sugars that are in your system, and you start burning your fat stores. So, which if you're eating every couple hours, like, traditional, the advice goes, like all the fitness people are like, you need to eat like every 2 to 3 hours to keep your metabolism going. Well, that's not real. There's no real good science that says that that's true.
Right.
So,
and it's honestly, so, I mean, like you said, for people who want to do that or feel best that way, great. There's nothing wrong with it. But like you said, it's so freeing when you realize it's actually not a requirement to be healthy. Like
Right.
that
I
off, like
know.
before we were like kind of like brainwashed into thinking like, oh my God, if I don't eat every 2 hours, my metabolism's gonna tank and I'm gonna gain weight and like, it just doesn't happen. Like in general,
No.
like it's
Yeah.
I eat actually 2 large meals a day. I do snack at night, but yeah, other than that, I don't. It's just actually 2 large
Yeah.
meals. That's it.
Hmm.
It's fine. Yeah, there's going to be a whole section for you guys too on intermittent fasting in the phase 3 program. Also, just
Oh,
because
good.
I'm so fond of it. But there
Hmm.
are multiple parts to it because you can overdo it, especially as women. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's great, but then women we tend to go extreme and
Yeah.
oh, maybe I'll fast for 20 hours every day. Like, oh my God,
Yeah. Right.
don't do that.
Right.
One thing I've noticed because I've been doing it for yeah, a good 4 or 5 years now. Typically, like just once a week, I'll do
Hmm.
like a 20 hour fast. But then I also don't eat breakfast every day. So technically, I
Yeah.
have a shorter fast. I eat late at night though, so I probably don't eat from like 11 at night.
Yeah.
I eat late at night. 11 to like 12 or 1 the next day. So that's what, 12, 13 hours.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
technically I have that much of a fast every day, but that's not
Right.
really that long.
Yeah, that's like me. That sounds just like me. Like I mean, unless I'm doing like one of those where I'm doing a set, I have to like set my mind and be like, oh, okay, I'm stopping eating. I'm not going to put another bite in my mouth after this time until this time tomorrow. And I like count the hours in my head.
Yeah.
But then I don't do that every day. I do it, if I wake up like I'm usually hungry and my body's saying like, you're hungry, like, and I feel like eating breakfast, I'll eat breakfast.
Yeah,
But,
exactly.
and then I'll do a fast like another day.
Right.
But
So
it's,
smart. You got to listen to your body with it.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've noticed that for me like anyway, and I'm pretty fit because of the crossfitting. I think I have a pretty good metabolism overall. I eat between 15 and 1900 calories a day. Um
Hmm.
I do find if I start fasting too frequently, that my metabolism does go down. Like I'll find that then when I do eat, that it kind of comes back more quickly, or I can just sense like that I'm not able to
Yeah.
eat as much, and I'm kind of getting. So it's like within reason. I can do it once a week, and it seems to be great. Every now and then, if things have gotten out of hand, and I'm like, oh, I'm trying to more quickly achieve a goal, it's like, yeah, if I do something, or just because I got busy, maybe it'll end up being
Yeah.
like 2 days apart for that long. Yeah, I just feel like, you know what, my body's not liking that. Like it's, because you
Yeah.
really still want to maintain a healthy metabolism overall.
Right.
So
Yeah, I also have read a little bit. I'm wanting to do more research on like intermittent fasting not being super good for adrenal fatigue either. So, I think that like not too long, like you were saying, like not too long of a fast, not doing it every day of the week, like if you're in a situation like that.
yeah,
But some people, like if your adrenals are good and you like doing it, like some people do it every day,
yeah, right,
and that's fine if that works for you. You
yeah.
just have to experiment.
Yeah, in fact, actually, I was just reading an article this morning. I'll forward it to you if you want, because I'm trying to research the same thing. I think it was on the Bulletproof Whip blog or something. It was
Oh, yeah, I've
an
been reading
article
that
about women
lately.
and intermittent fasting and the pros and cons. And the person loves intermittent fasting, but they were talking about the hormone imbalance that can occur from it for women, just because our bodies are
Hmm.
more sensitive than men's, it seems.
Yeah.
And one thing they mentioned was that like that can help women do intermittent fasting a little more gently is by doing the bulletproof coffee in the morning. And they said if you have adrenal
Yeah.
fatigue, because I've never actually tried that, I don't drink coffee, but they said that actually can really make it so that if you have adrenal fatigue, the intermittent fasting can still work for you just by having
Yeah.
bulletproof coffee. So that's
Yeah.
a cool thing to experiment with for people.
Yes, that's really good. I've actually been doing that just recently. I started doing that. I used to do it a long time ago when it first came out, the bulletproof coffee.
Yeah.
And then I got like lazy because I don't get up enough in time enough to do that and blend and blah blah. So but I recently just started like stirring some like coconut oil or MCT oil into my coffee in the morning, just like a teaspoon.
Okay. A teaspoon.
Because I don't really, and if I'm not blending it, I don't really like when the oil is like floating on the top of the
Yeah.
coffee. Like,
Yeah.
so I'm like stirring it and then drinking and stirring and
Yeah.
drinking.
Yeah.
But I have been experimenting with doing that because I've now, talking about finding what works for you and experimenting with different things. Since I'm, a health coach and we're learning about all these different methods, I like to try them out on myself. So I'm actually doing ketogenic right now.
Oh, okay. Very cool.
Yeah, so I've been like for 3 weeks now, I've been doing that. So that's another reason why I've been adding the fat to my coffee in the morning, because you have to eat like a high percentage of fat. So for me to get that much fat in, I've got to add those extra like teaspoons of oil. So
Gotcha. Now, typical bulletproof coffee, because I don't drink coffee is my problem. Like, I wish I could, but I actually just feel really crappy if I do. So I have black tea. So it's like,
yeah.
not the same thing. But so typical bulletproof coffee, how much like coconut oil or MCT do they usually use? Is it a teaspoon or more like a tablespoon?
No, I think it's, and I'm not 100% sure because I haven't done it in a while, like the true bulletproof recipe.
Yeah.
But I think it's like a tablespoon, it's at least a tablespoon of butter and MCT oil, I believe.
Gotcha.
And
So
you
guys
blend it.
Google that too. Like, I think it's like bulletproofsomething.com. Like, it's probably a lot of you guys have already heard of it, but you can look it up. It's kind of a new cool phase.
It's actually really delicious, though.
That's neat. That's neat.
Yeah.
And they try to blend it up, right? Like you said, so it's not just floating on top.
Yeah, when you blend it, it emulsifies and it looks like it has milk in it. Like, 'cause you don't put any milk and so you don't have the dairy or anything, but it gets like creamy like a latte,
Yeah. So you're doing it with 1 teaspoon, which brings the calories down a little bit.
Yeah.
Curious with the ketogenic, like, are you still doing HIIT, like the interval training and that? Like, how are you feeling?
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually feel really good.
Hey, that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm feeling really, really awesome. Like, I'm loving it so far because I'm never hungry. I don't have any cravings, like, especially for sweets. Yeah. Like, I used to be where, like, if we had something in the break room, like somebody brought chocolates or something in, it'd be like, they're there and I would want one. But now it's like I have no problem, like eating the high fat diet. Yeah. It's just you always feel so satisfied that it's so easy to like pass up like other stuff. Right. Like I haven't wanted any bread or anything like that at all. So, so far I really like it. I mean, I'm not really seeing a lot of difference like with my weight or anything yet, but I've probably been doing more weight training lately, though, than I've been doing of the high-intensity intervals.
Gotcha.
I don't know why. I'm just, like, in a phase right now where I'm just, like, doing a lot more weight training because I'm enjoying it. I go through phases, like...
It too, Because I've been, like, I thought about trying it, but, like, with CrossFit, like, it's supposedly a glycogen dependent sport, which means you need carbs, you need glycogen, and I do some pretty intense things, and I'm just not willing to feel crappy there.
Well, I've been doing a lot of research about it because we're developing a ketogenic program at the office here. And what I'm reading is that, and like I have not experienced any kind of like bad energy, like low energy. And what I'm reading is like once you get used to it and your body's like adapted to using like your fat for energy, then you're like you feel fine. Like you don't have that. Because there are actually like a lot of athletes that do ketogenic. I've been like following them on Instagram and stuff, and just like seeing what they eat. I'm like, okay, they're doing it. They're building muscle.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Now I know that like since fat is so much more calorie dense, like for the volume, do you find that like calorie wise, do you think you're eating more than before, or like do you just eat smaller, a lot less volume wise on ketogenic, but still feel satisfied?
I'm keeping a food log on my FitnessPal just to track myself.
Cool.
Because I know like you can easily eat like a lot. So there's like different, when you research ketogenic, some people are like, you don't need to worry about calories at all. Just eat till you feel satisfied. And then other people are like, no, it's absolutely and I'm not sure how I feel about it yet. Because I have been controlling my calories. Like I keep myself like around 1,500 a day. But I feel totally satisfied on that. Like I almost like when you're eating that high fat, you don't eat as much. Like you get like sometimes I'll be eating my lunch or dinner and I don't even feel like finishing it, which is like never. That's not. I mean, I usually finish it anyway, but like towards the end, I'm like, okay, like I'm done. Like so it's different.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, you don't eat as much.
Yeah, I think that's what it comes down to is as long as you feel psychologically okay with that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, as long as the state it puts you in makes you content with how much you're eating. I think it's only when it's like, because I was thinking about them, like, that's got to be a lot less volume food-wise.
Yeah. Well, I do.
Be nervous, but like you said, if you're psychologically content, though, because you feel like you don't have cravings because you're not eating carbs, so then it doesn't matter. It's fine. So.
Yeah, I've been eating like an avocado like every day and you know, like chicken salad. Like today I had like a big salad with like it was all like romaine, which is like super low in carbs.
Yeah.
And I made chicken salad with like some leftover rotisserie chicken that I had and like a hard-boiled egg.
Yeah.
And I made a dressing out of like olive oil. It was like a tablespoon of olive oil and apple cider vinegar and like spices and stuff and I just poured that. So it was super filling. I was totally, you know, and it was big, like it was enough food.
So if
but
you combine enough really low carb, low calorie vegetables, like fiber, then that way you can get the bulk from that, and then the calories are more coming from the fat. Because it's what are you doing like 70% fat, 80, 60%?
Yeah, I'm doing like I'm try to make sure to be over 60 every day, but somewhere between like 60 and 75.
Gotcha.
% fat, and then I'm doing like 20 to 30% protein and 5 to 10% carbs.
Gotcha. It's funny, you know, I've been tracking my macros lately too, just to see, and I actually eat more fat than I thought I did. Like, you know, it wouldn't actually be too hard, honestly, to be in the ketogenic range because I didn't think, I totally was eating, I ate a good amount of fat, I guess. I just didn't realize.
That's awesome, though. Like, what fat, like, I always tell my patients, like, fat does not make you fat. Carbs and sugars do.
Right.
So if you, like, I'd rather you eat high, as long as it's good sources. Like, you want to do, like, lots of avocado, nuts, olives, coconut oil, like that stuff. Try not to do so much dairy because that's inflammatory and that makes you bloated and gassy and feel gross. But if you do like, you know, the good, high, healthy fats, like it's so good for, I really do believe that that is the key to like keeping satisfied and keeping your weight down.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you for all that. That was all really, really good stuff. You guys, this is awesome. All the things that we talked about, you guys will be able to find in the show notes. This is episode 41 with Bridget. So, and again, the name of the medical center that they operate is Sajune, Sajune, right? Medical Center. And so what's the website for? Because some people listen to the podcast, so just maybe say the website name.
It's Sajune.com.
Okay, so Sajune.com. That's great.
Yep. Yeah.
Very good. Yeah, and then all the other things we talked about will be in the show notes too. My helper Lucille will write it all out for you. It's good to have all that. I used to do all of it myself, and I just can't anymore. I just don't have the time or even the brain power. Like I'm ADD lately or something. I don't know. I just can't stay focused. I don't know what my problem is. So I think I can only work on so many projects at one time. And I'm like trying to work on this phase 3 meal plan, right? It's taking all of my brain power and the whole program. I'm trying to like do weightlifting demos even, like to kind of encourage women to like check into weightlifting. I want to so I'm like have all my brain on that, and then I'm also still trying to maybe like update the blog, and then I'm just like I can't like my brain just
I know
too full.
It's a lot. Oh, there's one you just reminded me of one thing we did not talk about, but that I have that I've noticed has been super helpful with patients on hCG. Great. So hCG promotes testosterone production, which is why you maintain your muscle mass. But I've actually seen people gain lean mass on hCG if they do some light, just nothing heavy, but like light resistance training, like during the program. Yeah, so we don't really encourage, like, especially if they're on 500 calories, it's like you definitely don't want to be exercising like really hard, you know, but doing like just some like a couple of push-ups, like some squats, maybe some like light dumbbell curls, presses.
Yeah.
Like for some reason I've seen, and then the people I've seen that have done like higher calorie level and kept with a little bit more intense workout,
Yeah.
like they gain muscle like easily while they're on hCG. So I'm like, this is really cool. And that's something that I just discovered just based on seeing so many patients go through the program.
Very
But
cool.
it's something that I'm starting to tell patients about before they start, because
Yeah.
like if you keep doing a little exercise, like your body's in this state where you could put on muscle more easily.
Wow.
So I think that's really cool.
No, that's really neat. And it
Yeah.
sounds like it works better with the slightly higher calorie protocol if you're going to do
Yeah.
more intense.
Yeah, because if you're going to be exercising, I would do
Very
maybe the
neat.
800 or so. Yeah.
I just love that whole aspect about hCG, like you said, like preserving lean muscle. That's just so overlooked, and
I
it's
know.
real. We have a lot of body fat testing now that proves that to me. I'm like,
Yes.
I don't know how you can
I
argue
know.
with this.
I know. It's like I get so excited when I put a patient on the body comp machine
Yeah.
and they haven't lost any lean, like they haven't lost any lean at all, and sometimes they even gain, and it's like pure body fat, and I show it to them and I'm like, you literally just lost like
Yeah.
pure body fat. Like
Right.
if you had just done this diet without hCG, your body would have eaten so much of your muscle, because that's just how it works. But that's why the hCG is key.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, the technician that I get my body fat tested at, I've been going to him since the beginning, so he knows like my whole history.
Mhm.
He tests tons of people, obviously, and so he said like people that do like Weight Watchers, for instance, that's considered a healthy diet. It's not super low calorie, but he said most of the people that do that, 50% of their weight loss is muscle. So I mean that's kind
Yeah,
of a lot. I mean,
that's a
if you lose
lot.
20 pounds, I mean a whole 10 pounds of it is not even fat. I mean that feels like such a
That's
waste. You know,
that's a lot. Yeah.
yeah, and like I do know like when you're heavier, you actually do lose some muscle because I've done all this research. It's like when you're heavier, you actually have more muscle than a normal person for your height.
Right.
So it is
Right.
normal to lose some muscle when you're really heavy, but at a certain point, when you get to the normal level, your body should be maintaining it. And yeah, you don't want to have to spend time recovering that, and that affects your metabolism. And
Right, exactly. That's why I'm a big fan of hCG, because it keeps it preserves your metabolism, because that's your muscle is preserved.
yeah.
So,
And then you don't have
yeah.
to lose as much weight essentially because since more
Right.
it's fat, it's like on Weight Watchers, it's like you'd have to lose 60 pounds just to 30 of it to be fat. But if you lose
Right.
35, say 33 pounds on hCG, then 30 of it was fat, and then so you only had to lose 33 pounds instead of 60. It's like
Yeah.
better.
Right. Exactly. I know.
Cool.
So,
Well, very good. Okay, you guys, so you can go to Sejun.com. Like she said, even though they're based in Florida, they treat people all over. So you can check into their protocols, and also that you guys do the just hormone type of treatment and testing and stuff. That's
yeah.
sometimes I don't know if this ever happens. Maybe it doesn't because you guys do the testing, but I do get emails from people who like they just really actually aren't losing weight with hCG, and they're doing injections. It's real. They're following the protocol, and they're just like, I'm just not losing. And I feel like, you know what? It sounds like there's an underlying issue with hormones that
Yeah.
you're
Probably.
check into. You know, it's not
Yeah.
doesn't happen all the time, but on occasion, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool, guys. Well, thanks for being with me today. I'm gonna
Oh, yeah, you're welcome. That was awesome.